Going to be talking about how to use the E&M slide rule today on a mini webinar. Mini webinars are those that I'm trying to keep down to about 10 minutes or less. And when we're talking about the slide rule, basically we're talking about E&M documentation. And when we're talking about E&M documentation, we're talking about whether or not we're going to use the 95 or 97 documentation guidelines, not rules, guidelines. I could do a whole nother webinar about how the government cannot actually enforce these and how they've lost in court when they've been challenged, but I won't go into that right now. On the E&M slide rule, it has both the 95 and 97. You also have on this right here the history, exam, and medical decision making. And you'll notice on the end of the tabs, it has, on the end of each tab, it has either a 2/3 or a 3/3 for history, exam, and medical decision making. Now, when we're talking about a new patient, you're required to have 3 of all 3, all history, exam, and medical decision making. But when we're talking about established patient, it can be any 2 of those 3, history and exam, history and medical decision making, or exam and medical decision making, any 2 of those 3. Some people may teach you that medical decision making has to be one of those 3 every time, and if so, don't believe them. They're lying because it doesn't have to be. Rule can be used for all of these areas: new outpatient, established, emergency visits, outpatient consults, initial and subsequent hospital, inpatient consults, and SNF visits, new and subsequent. And by the way, the reason that I still have the consults on here, even though Medicare stopped paying for them, is because many of the other commercial carriers in the country still pay for them, including workers' comp carriers. So don't stop billing those right there just because Medicare stopped. Under history and exam, we have those right here shown. We have a chief complaint that's required on every visit. You have the history showing the location, duration, severity, quality, associations, etc. The review of systems, the past family social history, exam 97 and exam 95 elements as to what is required. How many body areas are required, etc. And then the elements are shown at the bottom, and I'm going to go into greater detail on all of these. The exam elements, remember, these right here count towards the exam side, not the review system side, not the history side, but towards the exam side. And for instance, when we're talking about the constitutional areas, any 3, temp, blood pressure, pulse, respiration, height, weight, they all count towards constitutional, and those can be documented by the staff. Appearance counts as one by itself. So we definitely want to make sure the staff does all that right there for you. Now, for an established outpatient, you're looking at the 5-level codes, 99211, 12, 13, 14, and 15. And you'll see as we slide the little slide rule out to a 99211, we now can see how it all works together. Chief complaint, yes. You're required to have a chief complaint on any E&M visit. A visit without a chief complaint is not payable as a sick visit, in my opinion, and that of Medicare. History, you need 1 to 3 history questions for 99211. So you're looking at location, duration, so where does it hurt? How long has it been hurting? How sharp is it? On a scale of 1 to 10, how strong is it? Is it a sharp pain? Is it a dull pain? Does it hurt most whenever you're walking, when you're jumping, when you're in an airplane, when the weather changes, etc.? You do not have to have any review of systems or past family social history or even exam elements for 99211. In fact, the 99211 is the only code that does not require any real exam at all. In 5 minutes, we'll talk about time at on another seminar, but time is only used if more than half of the visit was spent counseling and or coordination of care. Under a normal visit that you're documenting with history and exam, you don't even worry about time right there. So then we slide it out a little bit further, and the slide rule shows us for 99212, again, chief complaint, 1 to 3 history, no review of systems, no past family social. But under exam 97, you're required to have 1 or greater systems or body areas. Notice right here, head, neck, chest, abdomen, genital, buttocks, back, extremities. That gives you 10 body areas. If you're only counting 7 and you're forgetting that you have 4 extremities, you can count each. 1 to 5 exam elements. Notice down at the bottom, again, the exam elements. You have appearance. You have any 3 of the vitals. You have eyes and conjunctivi. You have in the areas of the ear, nose, throat. An exam element might be that the patient has a normal ear and nose. The patient may have the hearing seems to be normal. Remember, positives and negative counts. 1 to 5 is all we need, and minimal medical decision making for 99212. You'll notice under 99211, no medical decision making was needed. That's the only code that can get by with just history only, HPI. That's all called a nurse visit, by the way, but this isn't a coding seminar. This is a how to use a slide rule. 99213, okay, again, chief complaint, 1 to 3 history, 1 review of systems. By the way, the #1 reason as an auditor I downcode a doctor from a level 3 to a level 2 is they do not give me review of systems. Review of systems is where you ask the patient questions and they answer the questions and you record the answers. Okay, this is not going to be observation. This is going to be reviewing the systems, asking patient-specific questions about it. Past family social history doesn't have to have any one exam element, one body area or system. If we're looking at a 97, 2 to 7 body areas if we're looking for systems if we're looking for exam 95s. Most of the time I'm using 97 when I'm auditing because I find that's more favorable to the type of clients I work with, family, internal medicine, geriatrics, by the way. And we're looking at low medical decision making. There's going to be another webinar, free webinar, that'll be on my website, donself.com, to go over how to choose medical decision making. The slide will help you with the history and exam. And again, the time, 15 minutes, does not really matter on the normal visit, so we're talking here. 99214, again, chief complaint. Now we got something new here. We got under history, 4 or greater or 3 or greater. Notice to the left of 3 or greater we have chronic illness. So 3 or greater questions about, not diagnoses, but questions about chronic illnesses, location, durations, etc. Say, for instance, about the diabetes or hypertension. 4 or greater if it's going to be about an acute condition. So 3 or greater is chronic, 4 or greater is acute. 2 to 9, review of systems. Again, it doesn't take that much for the doctor to be asking questions and documenting it down. Past family social history. I generally recommend all my clients ask every patient if they've recently started exercising, recently started or stopped smoking, or recently started trying to lose weight. And by answering those, you have 3 or 4 history questions on every visit, even if you have the nurse ask those questions. 2 to 6, exam body areas for level for 97, 2 to 7 for 95, and again, moderate level for level 4. Medical decision making. Now, 925, again, it's just basically a complicated level 4. We have 10 or greater. We're looking at 2 for past family social history, 9 body areas, or 8 if you're using exam 98, 95, and a high medical decision making under the complexity. So it's really the slide rule slides in and out depending upon which level that you're looking for. Now, when we're trying to pick out on the timeline right here, oh, wrong thing. Okay, what I'm trying to get to is the highest 2 components. What are the highest 2 components we're looking for? Let's say your history gave you a level 5, but your exam was only at a level 4 and your medical decision making was a level 4. That means the highest where you have, or the lowest where you have 2 basically components right here, you have exam and history, would be a level 4 visit. Now let's say history was down here at a 2, then the 2 highest is going to be up here at the 99214 level. So you got to find, we're looking at basically the level of the 2 highest ones there. Okay, under medical decision making, exam, history, the E&M code is going to depend upon what level they pick. You also have the resource you can pick of time. If time gives you a higher level visit based off of documenting more than half of the visit was spent counseling and a coordination of care, that's a different webinar. If time gives you a higher level, you can bill it off of time using the slide rule. If medical decision making exam gives you the highest, then you can bill it off of those instead. But remember, medical necessity drives everything. Medical necessity will be what the carriers will question, including Medicare, if something is truly medical necessary. Can your doctor justify it to another doctor? That's the big question. So this was a webinar on slide rule. We have a separate webinar that's free at donself.com on documenting time. I will be, hopefully this week, creating a new webinar about medical decision making. What's going on in the doctor's head, you know, what, if anything. So that's going to help you determine medical decision making. You can order slide rules on my website, the books on my slide, or the newsletter, anything else we're doing at shop.donself.com. Thank you. Crystal and I are here to help you anytime you need help, so do not hesitate to contact us, Crystal@donself.com or Donself@donself.com, and just visit our website, www